Hey, I'm DJ. Welcome to my channel. Today we'll be discussing the ugly stepsister of the LGBT plus community, or at least that's how it feels to most of us asexuals. I identify as bisexual and asexual at the same time because I don't care about gender when it comes to romance, and my skin crawls at the idea of being sexually intimate. I personally have a lot of body issues and some sexual trauma, but that's not quite why I'm asexual. Those were just fun little additions. I'm ace because I just don't feel sexual attraction, and I'm not interested in being sexually intimate. But I don't think this was always the case. When I was 17 to 20 years old, I was a total sex fiend. I thought about it all the time. I wanted it all the time. I fantasized about people sexually a lot. Although I only have 2 notches on my bedpost, I would say that as a teenager to young adult, I was hypersexual. I was addicted to self-pleasure, thought about sex every second of the day, engaged in sex with my monogamous partner too many times a day to be normal. Probably. But hey, we were young. Maybe 5 times a day is normal. But it was at a point where it was affecting my life, my mental health, and my ability to get a job. All I'd think about was sex, and this didn't just come out of nowhere, it was gradual. I started seeing posts when I was about 14 on Tumblr, and I enjoyed them very much because they were sexual. I would post about sex, post about craving sex, and being, kinky. Even though I'd never gone further than some under-the-shirt touching at that age. I remember feeling like a prude, a total loser for being a virgin and not being sexually liberated like the women on my Tumblr. You know, those people who bragged about having a lot of sex. There's nothing wrong with having sex or not having sex, but I felt like I was less than because I wasn't having sex as a 14-year-old. I wasn't empowered like the women I saw online. I started sexting with a 17-year-old girl when I was 14. We would send each other explicit messages and pictures, and yes, I acknowledge that age difference is icky. When that stopped feeling edgy, I started going on Kik and sending nudes to random boys and girls my age. And they always reciprocated because we were at a crazy hormonal age, and there's so much pressure to start being sexual to avoid being a loser. But I was still a loser, despite being sexual online, and I knew that. I ended up losing my virginity at 17, and I hated myself for this because I thought it was too old. All my friends lost theirs before the age of 16. When I was 15, I was dating a girl the same age as me, only 15, and she also made fun of me for being a virgin. I started consuming BDSM and kink content at the age of 17. I started dating a 17-year-old boy who was porn addicted and convinced he was meant to be a dom. I excitedly talked to him about buying a collar and calling myself his slave, even though deep down I knew I wasn't comfortable with these things at all. We began having relations that were so aggressive they led me to bleed. This was because I was inexperienced, unaroused, and he was my very first sexual partner. I began rethinking this relationship, but then I started seeing posts online saying things like, being vanilla is boring, and if you're not kinky, you have no personality. As a teenager who struggled to fit in their whole life, this terrified me. I decided to stop rethinking being kinky and just go with it. The encounters got to the point where he would beat me up, punching and kicking me until I was knocked to the ground. I acted like I enjoyed it, but I didn't. After these encounters, I was left shaking and rocking back and forth on our bed, but he didn't offer any aftercare because he thought it was lame. I don't blame this ex for these encounters because I encouraged them. I told him enthusiastically that I liked what we were doing because I thought I did. When I started crying, I would assure him that it was just a part of BDSM and it was normal. A few years later, he would apologize to me for the many dysfunctional parts of our relationship, and I have forgiven him. But those experiences have still deeply traumatized me, and a part of me blames the internet for convincing me at a young age that being hypersexual and kinky was what made me interesting and worth people's time. I made a lot of stupid mistakes as a kid, but I was only a kid. It's not all the internet's fault for what happened to me, but this sexual culture on the internet has harmed me, my friends, my family, and my fiancé as well. We have all felt its effects. That's all I have to say about that. Thank you for watching, have a good day, and stay safe.